Hello and welcome to You're Wrong About Musicals. I'm Esme,
And I'm Nell.
and this week we are going to be talking about Beauty and the Beast. But first, some news. Where do we want to start? Because I mean, it's not as stacked as last week, I feel like. There's still quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Schmigadoon cancelled.
Oh yeah, Schmigadoon cancelled. Never seen an episode, but I was intrigued about this season.
I'm distraught. I've never watched it, but I'm distraught.
Yeah, I feel like it had what any like TV show wants, which is a very dedicated cult following.
Yeah,
And they were about to get to the mega musicals.
so sad.
Give it to us, please. Just let us know what the plot would be because it's been written. That's what's also really sad about it.
Yeah, they've like written all of it.
It's
They just
another,
can't put it on.
yeah, it's another instance of like stuff being written and people putting in all this work and then like nothing happening because of it. The performers for the What's on Stage Awards have been announced. It
Very
is
exciting.
very exciting. It is Newsies, Flowers for Mrs. Harris. I think that's closed. Guys and Dolls, La Cage aux Follies, Next to Normal. Yay. I think they're gonna perform I'm Alive, also Boy and the Invisible Girl. Mincemeat, professional opinion. And then we have obviously Operation Mincemeat because they have to be
No,
there.
I don't think they do actually. I don't think they do. How many noms did they get? Two?
Fuck if
Two
I
too
know.
many.
Unfortunately they got more than two. They got a lot less than I was expecting. And then Sound and Music are also performing. So that's coming up soon. When is it? Next month, 11th February. That's soon.
Like 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I'm quite excited for them to happen. There seems to be a real hype around them this year.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it.
Yeah, is that like a live stream or something? I don't know.
I think it's online, or at least like maybe it's broadcast somewhere. I think.
It makes sense for it to be online because it's like, yeah, all that kind of stuff.
I don't remember where it is.
Hannah
It's
Waddingham is set to return as host of the Olivier Awards. I did not watch last year's awards.
me neither.
Full disclosure, I watched a tiny bit of them on mute in the back of one of my classes.
Big news that we've just spent the past like hour discussing.
Oh my God.
Um, Frozen is closing on the West End. It just announced its final extension and it's closing in September.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of discussion on what's going to go in there. We spent the last hour just throwing out names that we want.
Throwing out. Yeah, so it's like here's what I
And they will
realistically.
say like, I think this is going to go in, and then I'll say it's not going to go into Drury Lane. I think this is going to go in, and then Esme says that's not going to go into Drury Lane.
And then it'll be
Like an
like
hour.
this should not go to Drury Lane because it would flop horrifically, but I need it to go somewhere. And then it'll just be like us going, Tuck Everlasting, the light in the piazza. Like it would sell two
The problem
tickets.
is, I'll try and sum up the many, many points that we made during this whole discussion. Number one is we have a lot of things we would love to see go in there.
Yes. Anastasia.
One of Anastasia, Beetlejuice.
I said Great Comet because like people are saying Newsies out there,
don't.
and it's not Newsies, so I'm allowed to say Great Comet.
People are saying Newsies, and I'm beginning to think the people who are saying Newsies did not see Newsies at Wembley.
Or if they did, they're just like, oh, they're just gonna like trapeze.
They're just gonna put the zip wire, you know.
Call it a day.
That will work.
Go back to the original staging.
We were saying the thing that the West End is missing right now is kids shows.
Yeah.
Specifically the kind like right now, if you're a tourist or even just like a parent with a day off and you wanted to take your kids to go and see a show, your choices are basically Lion King, Frozen, and Matilda.
Yes.
And there are some others that you might take a kid to, but those are the ones that are targeted towards kids.
Yeah.
And then at the risk of sounding a little bit sexist, I promise I'm not. We were saying Frozen is the one that's like targeted towards young girls. And it is like that's just a statement.
Sometimes I'll just be on the tube and there'll be like a ton of little girls in little Frozen dresses going to see Frozen. And it's the cutest thing
Lane
ever.
all the time, and they're all dressed up. It's cute. It's really sweet.
But there's a lot of girls and not a lot of boys.
Yeah, because Matilda is, we were saying, for like a little bit older, like 8 to kind of
like baby's
10, 12.
Baby's first show is Frozen.
And so we think something that appeals to kids should go in there. Anastasia. Please,
Yeah.
please put
This is
Anastasia on. I
Andrew.
really like Anastasia.
Angie. I know you're listening.
Please.
Also, guys, Andrew Lloyd Webber owns the theatre. Disney do not own it. I've seen that going around.
That being said, though, just because it's Andrew Lloyd Webber's theatre, it does not mean it's one of his shows that has to go in.
No, I'm seeing a lot of like people like seeing one fact and being like, "Ha, this must mean this."
Like, I just want to make it clear, Andrew Lloyd Webber did not write Frozen.
God, I
And
wish
Frozen is in a Lloyd Webber theatre.
Like so many shows are in a Lloyd Webber
Matilda is in a
theatre.
Lloyd Webber theatre.
Back to the Future's in a Lloyd Webber theatre.
He did not write those shows. He just
No, he
owns
did
a lot
not.
of property.
Yeah, he's just the landlord.
Just rich.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was an Andrew Lloyd Webber revival, but like
The problem is I don't
it's
think there's
not
anything
going.
of his that could be revived into Drury Lane. Because people say like Cats, huh?
Joseph?
The only ones I think are maybe Joseph and maybe Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, those are the two I'm like, I could see that.
But people who are saying Cats,
no.
you can't put Cats into Drury Lane.
God, I wish they could.
They just did a movie and it went horribly wrong.
What do you mean? It's my favorite movie.
It's my favorite movie. I'm watching it on Netflix tonight.
Oh yeah, guys. But
if you're reviving something like Cats, it needs to be a fresh take, which is why there's that like ballroom version.
Yeah, unironically, I really want to see that.
I really want to see that. Starlight Express is doing a new take where everything is the stage. That's going to be really fun. I want to go see it.
Yes.
But I don't have any money.
No, I've got a plan in the works though.
People saying Evita, they just did a concert of Evita, and if that was going to go onto the West End, they would have said something.
Also, that concert of Evita struggled to sell tickets.
It didn't sell out. Bonnie and Clyde, we talked about this.
Sold out.
It sold out. On the programs, they had Bonnie and Clyde will be back. Newsies, when it closed, said this is not the end of Newsies.
Yeah, but I'm starting to think they might be bullshitting because it's been months and there's been no word.
But see, the thing is, there's at least some indication that they at least don't plan for it to be the end.
Oh yeah, there's sign of life.
Evita did 3 performances.
It did 2. It only did 2. It wasn't like Love Never Dies, which did 3 or 4?
3 or 4, something like that. Love Never Dies is a weird amount. It did 2 performances. It didn't, I don't think, sell either of them.
Yeah.
And they didn't say anything at the end.
Yeah.
We'll be back, you know. So I don't think it's going to go in that.
No, I agree.
If it was going to go on the West End, if it struggled to sell out Drury Lane the first time,
I could see it doing a limited run with a big star attached at the Apollo, which is recently open.
Yeah.
But no, I also
another Disney musical might go in, but that would take time.
Yeah.
To like set it all up. As in, if Frozen closes in September, they wouldn't be able to, I don't think at least, open another proper Disney musical until January, which misses out on the biggest like season for kid musicals.
Yeah, one of them easily. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it closes in September. Beetlejuice on for a 3-month run from October.
Alex Brightman returns. We film a pro shot.
And then I don't know, like Beauty and the Beast opens in January.
I mean that has
Aladdin opens in January.
Oh, those 2 recently been on the West End though.
Last time Beauty and the Beast.
2022. 2022.
Was it actually?
Yeah. It was at the Palladium for a summer.
That doesn't count. It was at the Palladium. It was there for like a month.
It did like the classic, like, it's like what whatchamacallit is doing, Wizard of Oz. But yeah, everyone, like, I don't know if you guys would have seen it, but like everyone on West End like Twitter has been losing their minds over trying to figure out what the hell's going to go into Drury Lane.
Andrew Lloyd Webber Cinderella Part 3.
I think we need a musical about the drama of Bad Cinderella. And it culminates in Saltburn being made.
Oh my god. The other thing is, there's a lot of shows that I would love to.
Now again, it's begging our dear friend Andy to put on Anastasia.
Andy, please. I have seen Phantom of the Opera 3 times now, and I'll go again.
Yeah.
I bought front row tickets. Please put on Anastasia for me.
She will stop being mean to you for about 2 days.
I'll sing your praises for 2 whole days.
2 whole days.
But please, Anastasia.
In other quite sad closing news is How to Dance in Ohio will be playing its last performance next month.
Yeah.
It's sad because I really liked the inclusivity measures that they were taking and the way that it was so intentional, like everything they were doing.
Yeah. I think it's sad that it's closing, but it's not particularly surprising. It wasn't
No,
selling
I
incredibly.
saw someone say that it probably didn't make any money the entire time it was open.
That was really sad. I would have loved to see it.
I would love to see it. It's not going to Drury Lane.
They're opening How to Dance in Ohio in Drury Lane. Other closing, it's at the time of recording this, I think when this episode comes out, it will have finished. It's Gutenberg's last week.
Oh yeah, Gutenberg. Fucking love Gutenberg.
Gutenberg in Drury Lane.
Oh, that could sell. Like
they do what they did on Broadway, limited run.
Get a bunch of celebrities in.
We can finally have Andrew Lloyd Webber on stage.
Yes. Andy.
Listen to me.
Avid listener of the podcast, Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Gutenberg at Drury Lane.
And you are the producer every night.
Who else could they have as producer?
Cameron McIntosh.
Fletcher.
Well, okay. Fun fact about the Theatre Royal Drury Lane is it's called that because the reigning monarch always has to go to the show. So
is that true, or are we just saying it?
No, I saw it.
Look it up.
I saw a royal historian talk about it, and there's like a king side and a prince side because once they were going to the show and they got in a massive fight, and then they had to go back to the show, they had to sit on opposite sides of the theatre.
Jesus.
The UK's a real country, guys. Anyway, Prince Charles, if you want me to like you for 2 days, be the producer Gutenberg.
Oh my God, who else is like famous on the West End? No one. It doesn't have to be West End, just like UK actors.
UK, like, you could probably get like Graham Norton.
Oh, he would do it. Neil Patrick Harris.
Like all of those
kind of British, or am I making
He's not British. Neil Patrick Harris.
No, he's not, is he? I have like this memory of him doing a British accent, and it's always just stuck in my head. It's he's British. He's not.
He's not.
But in my head, he is. He looks British.
He does look British. Yeah, no, I know.
That's what it is. He really looks.
He really
British.
does look British.
Anyway, I'm googling famous British actors. I'm just gonna see who comes up. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, he could do it.
Ian McKellen.
Oh, Ian McKellen would 100%.
He would do it. Idris Elba would do it.
Idris Elba would do it. He was like, the women from Loose Women. You know, like the Loose Women people. Alison Hammond. Denise Welsh. Natty Healy.
No.
What is that?
I'm really just going through this.
But I think we have enough celebrities for a 3-month run if Andrew Lloyd Webber promises to do any nights they can't get someone.
Yeah. I don't know, you just get like all of the doctors one by one.
Oh yeah.
Just have them come up on stage one by one. That'll be fun. We'll enjoy that, I'm sure.
Never seen an episode of Doctor Who in my life, but yeah. That'll get you some press. Yeah. Everyone needs to calm the fuck down though, because they're like, Broadway's in danger, everything's closing. It's just January.
It's January.
Like, we have this conversation every January, and then we have this conversation every September. Stuff closes. It is sad that the two things closing are the newest musicals of the season, but I've seen people say that there were issues with their marketing campaigns.
Oh yeah, Harmony.
Yeah, like Harmony.
Closing? Yeah.
Harmony's closing, and How to Dance in Ohio really didn't. Like, there was issue with like them not getting out, not being able to do word of mouth because there was those issues around their rush policies.
There's a lot we can criticize, but
I would have liked, all in all, I would have liked for it to have a longer run lifespan. Is there anything else? I saw that Gatsby was Paper Mill's highest grossing show of all time, which I thought was insane.
I can't think of anything else that's happened. I'm sure stuff has
happened. And by the time that this comes out, stuff would have happened. Let me just quickly check Playbill. But yeah, I think like we all just need to remember that like that stuff is gonna go up and stuff is gonna come down. And not to get too fatalistic about it. Because what will happen will happen.
Six celebrated their like
6th year anniversary.
It was their 6th-year anniversary.
Yeah. No, I saw that. I have never felt more old in my life than when that happened. I was like, what do you mean 6 is 6 years old?
6 years ago.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Like I've been following Six for 6 years. What?
It's crazy.
Anyway, I think that's it for news.
Yeah, we probably forgot something, but it's fine.
Yeah, you guys should just. These are the news stories we actually wanted to talk about. So Beauty and the Beast is a musical book by Linda Wolverton, music by Alan Menken, lyrics by Howard Ashman and Tim Rice.
Yes.
Rice.
Yes.
The whole time I was doing it, in my head, I just kept referring to him as Rice. Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Andrew Lloyd Webber's book haunts me.
Apparently, they do have beef. So that might
Yeah,
explain.
they stopped working together. They have beef.
I don't know what. It's based on obviously the animated film, the same name with it coming out in 1991, with it being during what is known as the Disney Renaissance. So the guy who
I really thought Beauty and the Beast came out a lot earlier than 1991.
It feels very old.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think it's because when I was growing up, the only like copy of Beauty and the Beast that we had was on a VHS tape.
The same.
So we got rid of the VHS tape when I was like, I don't know, when I was like 6 or 7.
I think I did end up getting a DVD copy of it.
Oh no, we never got a DVD copy.
But to be fair, I then. Oh no, you also had a younger sister.
Yeah. We just didn't watch Beauty and the Beast as a child. from past a certain age. Michael Eisner, he's basically like CEO of Disney at the time. He is in charge of the Disney Renaissance and he loves theatre. He was born in Manhattan. Yeah, he was born in Manhattan. He studied theatre. He's a little theatre kid who then got placed CEO of Disney. And it made it into his films with
out.
Yeah. Isn't that every like Disney adult's dream? Because a lot of them probably study theatre. Yeah, also then they brought on like so because of this, people like Anna Menken, who had written Little Shop at that time, was brought on to write all the scores, and he composed them like they were musicals. So a lot of people said around the time that Beauty and the Beast came out, it was like it's like a stage musical. Each song advances the plots, characters sing through their thoughts and feelings. It is just very musical theatre in its DNA. Eisner and his friend Katzenberg, who I believe is another CEO higher up at Disney, maybe we should make a stage show.
Maybe we can make more money.
So they were like, but like they didn't want it to be like Disneyland. So in the whole time I was reading everything about this, they were kind of talking down on Disneyland. I was like, Disneyland is literally you guys' thing. They're kind of shopping around directions. So at times they thought of Hal Prince from Phantom of the Opera to do it.
Don't call him Hal Prince from Phantom of the Opera.
That's his most famous work. I mean, I know he's done stuff like Merrily We Roll Along. Sorry, Hal.
He's a very respected.
I love Hal Prince. I think his direction is why Phantom is so good.
Yeah.
And Trevor Nunn.
Cameron McIntosh.
and Trevor Nunn, who did Cats.
It's an all-star team, really.
All-star. Really considering them. But then Robert Jess Roth, who was working at Disneyland, kind of found out about this and took it on as his project and like had been like the Eisner, you should make this a musical, you should make this a musical. And then when they were like, maybe we should, they were like, let's bring back this guy. Let's not bring back the Cats guy.
Not a bad choice, but
yeah. Alan Menken was reluctant to try and do as a musical since Howard Ashman had died soon after the movie was done. He also had issues with it being something like Disneyland. However, Rice showed up and saved the day.
Thanks, Rice.
Thanks, my bestie Rice. He is such a little minx. We'll get to it. There's one point where I was like, what the fuck?
He's fucking hilarious.
There's like a group of like British theatre people that I just find endlessly entertaining and all of their antics to be absolutely insane.
I need like a reality TV show about them.
Yeah, like I want to know what they do in their daily lives because it's batshit.
I would actually love a reality TV show about Andrew Lloyd Webber. Not even because I like him, I just think it would be so ridiculous.
I think like I think his daily life is absolutely boring and then he says something batshit or it's just all batshit.
It would be like a 20-minute episode and the first 10 minutes would be him like playing old Phantom songs. And then the second half of the episode would be him being like, Sarah Brightman.
Sarah,
Call
come
up
back.
Sarah.
Call up Sarah. And
I
his
don't
wife,
think we can actually. He is married, so I don't
no,
think
his
we can
wife,
say.
his wife, no, his wife spends all her time at the stables. No, I think his wife has a life, and Andrew just sits around going, Sarah.
He plays the piano for his little TikToks.
It's a
He
poor
like occasionally posts a photo of him and his pets on Twitter.
And then he'll post something for like someone's birthday, and it's the weirdest thing
Like,
ever.
happy birthday, Lin-Manuel Miranda, my best friend.
Here's us on the coronation of the Jubilee.
Good lord.
That's my sleep paralysis demon, that video.
It'd be hilarious to have a reality show about him.
Oh, I need one. I need one about, after seeing Cameron McIntosh have an absolute freak out, I need one about him.
Did anyone else? Me and Esme both got this like
Yeah.
documentary on TikTok, just in parts about Cameron McIntosh, and it's crazy.
It's on YouTube. I just need to watch it.
Yeah, I feel like I've missed out part of it from having to like scroll through like 500 parts of it.
Yeah. Anyway, casting. During this time, people didn't really want to use big names. Because Katzenberg just didn't want to do it, and also this was during the time when Patti LuPone was pissed at Andy.
But Patti LuPone as Belle would have been great.
Oh, I fucking love Patti LuPone. I know she can be absolutely insane, but I think that's her right.
Again, reality TV show with Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah.
The producers bring on Patti LuPone.
You know, apparently.
You know, like what they used to do in Dance Moms when they'd be like, Patti will get you a role on stage.
Yes.
If you have a fight with Andrew Lloyd Webber in front of our cameras.
Yeah, no, I feel like it would be like the Real Housewives of like the West End. That's what I want. But it's just like a bunch of old Tories.
It would be so good.
Apparently, like they have actually spoken since Sunset Boulevard, and it was once for her to sing "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" at the Grammys. Walked over and went, "Hi, Andrew," and then said, "This is the taunt," and sung the song.
I'm gonna start saying that.
This is the taunt.
That's incredible.
I'm listening to an audiobook about Broadway in the 90s because I found out it's really weird, and it started with the story about Patti LuPone in Sunset Boulevard. And when I tell you it was the most wild shit I've ever listened to in my whole entire life.
Did you start listening to it? Because last episode, every time we tried to talk about Broadway in the 90s, you're like, well, there was Rent.
Yeah, and it was, no, it's literally that. There's like,
it's like, there was Rent.
Literally, no, it was like there was Sunset Boulevard, there was, which marked the end of the British invasion, and then there was Sunset, and then there was Rent, and then there was Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I think I've realized as well, that's what kind of makes me think the movie is a lot older, because the movie came out in like 1991, and then the Broadway show came out in like 1994.
Yeah. It's
like usually there would be a bigger gap.
Yeah. Anyway, moving away from Patti LuPone and international relations.
Don't worry, Patti. This is not the last one we're talking about you.
Don't worry, Patti. We love you.
Not maybe for this episode, but
you'll get your moment.
You're always on our minds.
You're always in our hearts, babe. That video of you screaming at that woman, always in my heart. Susan Egan, who would go on to play the show, was against it, thinking this is a terrible idea for Disney to put a cartoon on Broadway. She was such a snob, in her own words, at the time. Her agent said, go into the audition. You've never met the casting director. And by the way, I think you got it wrong. It's a good idea. She had never seen the film. And so like had just, in that way, it kind of works though. Because apparently everyone went into the audition room like imitating Paige O'Hara, who voiced Belle. And she was just like looking at it from a completely fresh standpoint.
Yeah. Again, I feel like that's the trouble with releasing them both so close to each other.
Yeah.
It's just everyone is going to try and be the animated Belle.
Like Belle's odd, she's quirky. This is Paige O'Hara. She's funny. I went in, I thought I was funny, I made them laugh, and it didn't occur to me as something special. I think in this instance, surprisingly, not having seen the movie helped. Terrence Mann was cast as the Beast because he had been nominated.
Talk Everlasting?
Yeah.
I always do this. As with like, Terrence Mann is like an actual like well-known actor.
Yeah, he's like
on Broadway. He's like famous on Broadway. Like
he's
from Talk Everlasting.
He was nominated for a Tony for playing Javert in the original Broadway cast of Les Mis.
He's the man in the yellow suit from Talk Everlasting.
To you and 5 other people.
His most iconic role.
So it would play out of town, and it would be like co-produced with Hudson Theatre Under the Stars, for 7 weeks, and due to technical aspects of the show, despite the first preview, it went very smoothly, and the second did not, with the Enchantress trying to fly off and smashes into the castle, with Eisner not being pleased with this, and the show stopping for 40 minutes to fix it. Which Disney have always, say what you will about Disney and the corporation and everything, like kind of taking over Broadway to some extent, they are testing the limits of what can be done. They invest in those special effects. The show would really catch on there with them partnering with a food shop where people would like go into the shop and then for like just to do a weekly shop, and then they would leave with tickets to Beauty and the Beast, which is funny to think about.
Now that's the dream.
Yeah.
What if I could do my like week? I don't even do a weekly food shop. My monthly food shop at Aldi for £20.
Yeah.
I don't mean to brag. I'm really good at saving money. And it doesn't help because then I just spend on stupid shit. My £20 monthly food shop, and I could walk away with tickets to fucking Phantom. That's the dream.
The Arts and Chronicle would not be favourable to the show, saying, despite the money and effort that's gone into the stage, Beauty does not equal the film, much less surpass. So why do it? Again, this is the first Disney musical, because we've become very accustomed to the idea that Disney are going to turn their movies into stage musicals. I mean, I think at the moment that the ones that they could adapt are very strong contenders for musicals.
Yeah.
Like Tangled, why haven't you done that yet? We have a pitch for the Tangled musical.
Oh my god, we in like high school we would spend hours detailing how we would stage Tangled,
because it could be done really cool and like not like it could be done at like Circle in the Square in the round.
Yeah, we have some great ideas if Disney ever wants to like. I actually don't think I'd like to be hired by Disney.
No, I
do
don't
hate the corporation.
Yeah.
But if they paid me enough, I hate to say it, I might be willing.
I would sell out for for Disney if they paid me enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I've heard like Coco might become a stage show, which again, I think would be really sick.
Encanto could be fun.
Encanto could be fun. And the only one I will say please don't do, which I already have a feeling they're doing, Greatest Showman. No.
Is Greatest Showman Disney?
I think they own the theatrical rights. Broadway, it would reportedly cost $12 to $14 million to produce, with it becoming the most costly Broadway musical at the time, with it costing $400,000 a week to run.
And that's like the standard now.
How did Dance in Ohio, which is tiny, cost that same amount to run, allegedly?
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, you said the price, I was like, oh, that's like a pretty good price.
Yeah.
For a Disney musical.
Well, think about it. Rent, which was also the other musical of the 90s.
The only other musical of the 90s, as we know.
The 90s, cost 12 million less to put on, which is insane. Disney did have some run-ins with the way things had always been done, with Playbill not permitting them to put the corporate logo on the title page, which is funny. Kind of fair. And where movies require actors, like it's written into your contract that you will show up to all of like the publicity events. I don't know this. Actors Equity requires actors to be paid for work like TV commercials and for like commercials and appearances and all that other stuff, which I didn't know. I'm glad they're being paid for that.
Yeah.
With Disney trying to like swindle the union, and they're being like, nope, you've got to pay your fucking actors, babes. Which is what a union should do.
Disney's always been pretty horrible.
Disney's pretty shit, especially with unions, as we learned over the summer.
Yeah.
It was also one of the first shows to have the cast recording come out whilst in previews. Like the day of the first preview, you could go to the merch stand and buy a cast recording. Genius marketing. I think the thing with Disney shows is that they've always got like a big powerhouse behind, like so much money behind them.
You can say it's all this like innovation. And they're like, they were like changing the Broadway game. It's because they had a massive company. Backing them up on everything. Like it wasn't this small group of Broadway producers like, oh, what if we like immediately release the cast album?
No, I get what you mean. Like, I don't know. I think that's what's so interesting about looking at something like Beauty and the Beast and then Rent, almost, because they are so different in every aspect, but they were these two massive defining moments of a decade. One way that Disney changed it and the ethics of this can be discussed in a lot of detail. They literally changed Times Square to make their musicals.
Oh my god.
I know, it's insane. So New York in the 90s, especially Times Square, had a lot of sex shops in it. It was kind of a Wild West. There was crime, there was drugs, there was a lot of like unfamily friendly business happening in Times Square. And obviously, Disney wanting to attract families to Times Square to come see their show, because the theater is the Palace Theater, which is directly in Times Square. You kind of got to incentivize families to come down there. So Disney gave some money to make it a better place with less crime and drugs, with the Walt Disney Company in New York State announcing plans to have the New Amsterdam completely like. So Disney owned the New Amsterdam. They basically bought it on the promise that Times Square, around the time that Beauty and the Beast was going to Broadway, they bought it on the promise that if they bought the theatre, Times Square would be cleaned up. And the way they did this was by evicting undesirable businesses. Local entrepreneurs, however, had their own agendas and launched a series of lengthy lawsuits. I hate Times Square in its current incarnation, and it makes complete and total sense that the way it is the way it is because of Disney.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
saying
thought it was going to be the like pedestrianizing thing. I was like, that's maybe, maybe that's quite nice. No.
nope, it was let's kick. I mean, it feels weird calling a bunch of like sex shops and crime fronts small family businesses.
It's a bit weird.
It is a bit weird. Retail outlets, because obviously, like once Disney decide, oh, like Times Square's a good place to set up a business, like a ton of other businesses decide, oh, let me get in there. With bright, elaborate electronic signage appearing in the theatre district for the first time since the beginning of World War II. Several businesses and communication firms have announced plans to build new offices on or adjacent to West 42nd Street, with someone saying like there's a cappuccino bar next door. There was a massive Toys R Us being built around this time. At one point
It's just
it's insane how much power Disney have.
Yeah.
And this just kind of shows it. They almost built a Disney themed hotel in the middle of Times Square.
Oh god.
Just tell you who let them do all this. I was like, who politician is signing off on this?
Oh god.
So critics now are a lot nicer to Disney shows than they were in the past.
I wish they weren't. That's mean. I think a lot of Disney shows are like good. I just don't think you should be nice to Disney.
No, and I think because at this point, also Disney Theatricals is kind of its own arm of the company.
Yeah.
Whereas at this current moment, obviously, like it wasn't. And Bob Eichner, he literally had final say over everything. So like every costume change, everything had to be ran by him. Which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because at any one time Disney could have many, many shows on around the world, but at this time it was like their child in a lot of ways. The New York Times says, as Broadway. So the full paragraph is, as Broadway musical goes, Beauty and the Beast belongs right up there with the Empire State Building, FOA Schwartz, and the Circle Line boat tours. It's hardly a triumph of art. It will probably be a whale of a tourist attraction. It is Las Vegas without the sex, Mardi Gras without the booze, Madame Tussauds without the waxy stares. And you don't watch it, you gape at it, knowing that nothing in. Oh! Okay, I think it's a small American suburb.
It's a city in Iowa.
Yeah. That took me far too long to figure out.
Is it just saying it's nothing important?
Yeah, so like basically it's saying like nothing in your small American city in Iowa will ever be as good as Beauty and the Beast, but is not good.
Yeah, it's making fun of it because it's like, oh, it's what was it? Las Vegas without the sex.
Yeah.
Mardi Gras without the booze.
Yeah.
Madame Tussauds without the wax.
I mean, you're comparing it to Madame Tussauds. Madame Tussauds is a pretty shit tourist attraction.
Yeah, but it's like the spectacle.
Yeah.
And nothing in Dubuque comes like no. Okay. We spent way too long trying to figure. Can American reviewers just be normal?
Yeah, I feel like the New York Times are like always on one in some respect.
Like, what the hell does nothing in Dubuque comes close mean?
I mean, be like nothing in your suburb comes close.
I'm literally reading the fucking Wikipedia page for this, trying to figure out if there's something that
So the
it's
New York.
apparently a very Catholic city, if anyone's interested in that. One of its largest employers is Nordstrom.
They might have an offices there.
Okay, arts and culture. This is stupid. Why am I looking at this? Why do I care?
That's me often. I'm like, how did I end up here?
The city has a large number of students who attend private schools.
Is it a rich town then?
Well, I'm not sure considering one of the largest employers is Nordstrom, but
Maybe
it's a
there's
very
big
Catholic town, so a
offices.
lot of them are Catholic schools.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh my god.
If anyone from Dubuque, Iowa,
Iowa is listening, reach out. We have
I'm gonna go on look. I'm looking at famous people. Maybe someone
Okay.
from Dubuque. I'm so invested in this.
If the New York Times had their way, nothing in Dubuque ever happens apart from the church.
Apparently, David Rabe, the playwright who won the Tony Award for Best Play in 1972, is from Dubuque.
Hey, that New York Times.
So if that's what you're trying to say.
Yes. The New Yorker would say, for the production of Beauty and the Beast, Disney people have wisely abolished the Broadway rule of no under fives admitted. They should have considered and stipulated no one over 5 admitted as well. What is the point of agonizing your adult audience?
Sorry, you're an adult and you chose to go and see Beauty and the Beast. That's your own fault.
It's also like it's not objectively bad.
It's a fun. I think people just hate Disney, which is deserved.
I mean, they hate Disney, but they don't hate it for the right reasons.
They hate it because they're like Broadway Puritans.
Anyway, synopsis time.
Oh my god. The beloved fairy tale recounts the story of Belle, a young woman in a provincial town, and the Beast, who is really a prince trapped under the spell of an enchantress. Bit of a spoiler. If the Beast can learn to love and be loved, the curse will end and he will be transformed into his former self. But time is running out. If those lessons aren't learned soon, the Beast and his household will be doomed for all eternity. That is the plot.
Yeah, that is all of Beauty and the Beast.
That's Beauty and the Beast.
I think there's a way to cause a bit more intrigue, but I guess the thing with most Disney musicals, and I'm saying most because I think Newsies is probably an exception to this, is that everyone walks in knowing the story. So you can't really be like, and chaos ensues. I'm not going to tell you what happens because you're going to have to come see it when it's like, no, you can watch it at home.
I feel like there are better ways to do this. I should start ranking all of the synopsis I read.
Interesting.
But I'm not going to because that would require me to go back and read all the other ones we've done. Yeah. Anastasia had a good one, or maybe I just like Anastasia.
I don't know, man. Anyway, our thoughts on Beauty and the Beast. On stage, it is very innovative. Like, if you look at like photos of it and the costumes and all that other stuff, very innovative. I was reading that it was one of the first times they had to hire a physical therapist because of the weird body contortions, like on Broadway, because of the weird body contortions that people were forced to sit in these costumes.
I can imagine.
We've both done Beauty and the Beast.
Yes. Who are you? Who did you play in Beauty and the Beast?
Mrs. Potts.
Who are you? That's cute. Yeah. I was a silly girl.
Well, I was one of the oldest, and then
I did it when I was like 12 or something. And the girl who got Belle, and it was like 16. And I think the girl who got Mrs. Potts was also 16, so that probably makes sense.
I was looking at it today. I was thinking about it today, and I was like, City Girl would actually be such fun.
It is. It's a really fun role.
But oh my god, my production of Beauty and the Beast was horrific. It was so bad.
I know that we actually got the rights to do it because I had an actual script.
Oh, and we had the rights.
Printed off piece of paper. Oh yeah, Beauty and the Beast is easy to get the rights to. That's what Disney does best.
For once in our lives, we had the rights and we were doing an age-appropriate show. How did it end up going so badly? I'm not going to name names.
For you?
I'm not gonna name names, but all I'm gonna say is we spent a disproportionate amount of time on our opening number. Belle is a bitch to put together to the point where me and my friend had to start teaching it.
I don't know if we just did really simplistic choreography or something. I don't remember Belle being a particularly like bothersome number because of the costumes.
Oh, we didn't have
Our
costumes.
silly- Oh, we did. I was a city girl, and then I was also like a cutlery piece and be a guest.
Someone had the fuck ass idea to do a stripped down production of Beauty and the fucking Beast.
Oh.
Insane. No, basically, like all of the numbers where it was everyone were hell. Okay? So Belle. Belle was hell. We were all in it. Don't ask. But Belle was hell. What else was horrific? Gaston.
I loved Gaston. Again, it was just kind of because I got to be a city girl during it.
See, that would be fun. I don't even know why
Yeah.
I was in Gaston.
I think Belle was also fun because I was a city girl, and it was literally we got to sit at the back of the stage and gossip, and then when Gaston came on, we got to like follow him around, and then we got to look like after he talked to Belle and Belle would have a little bit, we got to like just be a bitch at her,
Yeah, see,
like give her the side eye. It was fun.
that sounds fun. All of the castle scenes we got done very quickly.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying on that. Castle scenes were a dream. Be our guest. Speaking of which, Disney correspondent to the show, Toby.
Oh God.
He fucking hates this. I texted him and I was like, Toby, why do you hate Beauty and the Beast? And I was like, actually, that's a bit mean. Maybe hate is a too strong one. And he went, no, I hate Beauty and the Beast. To the point where he once unprompt 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning, went on a long rant about how much he hated Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
The character?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then our friend who was like stood with us, he had had this conversation, she went, she's my favorite Disney princess.
Ooh.
I was like, oh, child. So his argument is basically, oh my God, can I do this from memory? Stockholm syndrome is wrong in a musical.
Apparently Stockholm syndrome isn't even real. I read an article about it and I can't remember what it said. I read it a little while ago.
Really? That's so interesting.
I think the results were like fabricated, but I don't quite remember.
That makes sense, actually.
And I think it's the main thing is that it's because they exaggerate what the kidnapper has done.
Yeah.
Because, for example, Beauty and the Beast. What does the Beast really do to Belle?
Well, no, because she
has a pretty nice room.
Yeah, she just can't leave the castle.
Yeah. And the castle has grounds. She can go outside.
Yeah, and she makes friends with the people and the
yeah.
Cogsworth, Lumiere.
Like during lockdown, you weren't like, I'm being held captive in my house because I'm not allowed to leave.
Yeah.
No, you were just stuck there.
Yeah, it was just recommended that you don't leave your house.
I don't want to defend kidnappers. But in the grand scheme of things, the Beast wasn't that bad.
No, I think he could I was always scared of him as a kid. Surprise, surprise. And that whole thing of like, oh, he has a heart it does it well. It does it like the thing that's often, I think we were talking about this with A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Where it's like when you do the anti-hero, it is quite hard to like make it rewarding but also not jump the gun on the character development.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's one thing that the Beauty and the Beast does very well. And they did the very smart thing of in the musical really expanding on key moments in the show, in the story.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like the song like Home, banger of a tune, that expands on the character development. What else?
I think one of the things is Beauty and the Beast had a really strong, like you were saying when you were just like telling the original story about like the backstory.
Yeah.
It was already a musical.
Yes, yeah.
So it's not like they had to do with A Christmas Carol where they had to write new songs.
Yeah.
That explain the plot. They already had those songs. They added some more that wouldn't work in a. We were talking about this earlier as well because I saw One Cup last night.
Oh yes.
It's not a good movie, but it was very enjoyable.
Oh,
That's my thoughts on it.
Wonka is so entertaining.
Watching it made me realize that the big difference between musicals and movie musicals is that you don't have the interval.
Yeah.
Like the end of Act 1, in my opinion, should usually be a song, or at least be at the very least be a big point.
Yeah.
And it has to make you want to like sit back down after the interval.
Interest. Yeah.
And I said like in part that's usually because it's a very happy song. You want to sit back down because you're like, everything's going right. How on earth can there be a whole second act? You know?
Yeah.
What could possibly happen?
Or often there's almost like a cliffhanger of like, oh, what's gonna happen next?
I was like, oh no, everything is going wrong. How are they gonna fix this all?
I was just looking at it, and so the Act 1 finale is actually A Change in Me, which is a beast.
Is it?
Yeah. So it goes, be our guest, which is the big dinner with the gown, I think. That's when she's in the gown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then it's
A
If I
part of
Can't
me
Love
always
Her.
thought something there.
Something that slaps.
Or Beauty and the Beast. No, Beauty and the Beast makes sense as an Act 2 song. Something there is like the opening of Act 2.
Yeah, because and something there works
which also makes sense
as an Act 2 song, because it's like, here's the character development that's been happening.
I think like the way Beauty and the Beast is laid out makes sense. What's like, the actual finale? If I Can't Love Her?
Yeah, If I Can't Love Her.
That makes sense. It's a big moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it works better as an Act 1 finale. Because it's more plot. Like there's not a lot of plot in Be Our Guest.
Yeah.
It's a very fun song and it's a good like ensemble song. I love the song. But I think it shouldn't be an actual finale because there's nothing really happens during it.
Interesting, because I assume probably the impulse when first looking at it would to put the big showstopper song that everyone knows from the movie, Be Our Guest, as the Act 1 finale, but plot-wise it doesn't really make sense.
But you know what stage adaptation of a movie that did do that and made it make sense?
Anastasia, I know.
Anastasia with Journey to the Past. Fucking great musical. Anyways.
But they moved it around though for Anastasia.
Yeah, but I get the feeling I'm looking at the list of like the song list.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that that's not how it is in the movie entirely.
No.
Because first of all, they've added songs.
100%. Oh, yeah. I really like Human again.
That's what. Okay, you know how I was like earlier. I feel like something there should be an actual finale.
Yeah.
It's because in the 1991 film, it goes Be Our Guest, and then something there, and then the mob song Beauty and the Beast, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Which I guess is similar, but they just feel closer together in the movie because you don't have an interval.
You don't have an interval, and obviously, like, if you've got fucking Terrence Mann to do the show, you gotta give him a big
Terrence Mann from Tuck Everlasting.
He doesn't know it yet. He's gonna be in a show called Tuck Everlasting.
I hate to say, does he also have a big part in the actual finale of Tuck? No, that's 17.
I was about to say isn't it 17 Reprise?
No, you're right, he doesn't. I think, well, in my mind I do. It's because
he has a bit in one of the 17s, I swear.
It's because the Act 2 opener is Everything's Golden, which is his big song.
Yeah, that's his song, and a great Act 2 opener, actually. But also, like, you can really tell that the inclusion of, like, Alan Menken and Rice coming from such a strong musical theatre background and almost being like, I know I basically wrote a musical, but now I get to fully write a musical. And so almost understands that, yeah, most people expect, I think, and comparing it to other Disney shows, Frozen, that's kind of where Frozen falls short. Is because
what's the Frozen?
Obviously Let It Go. You have, like, Act 1 ends and Let It Go. However, half of Act 1 is filler because in the movie, Let It Go is sung like, what, half an hour in? Whereas they make you wait for it a long time. And so Elsa's not on stage for most of Act 1. And a lot of it is just Anna and Kristoff because you have to have Let It Go be the big curtains down moment. Whereas on this, they were like, actually, we could have a dancing spoon sending you off to intermission. But instead, we're going to have a pop ballad.
It's like the 13th, but I'm not entirely sure how many of those songs are just instrumentals.
What,
I hate to say, I have not listened to the Frozen Broadway recording often.
Okay, some of it does
Yeah, it's
actually
like
slap.
in the Broadway. I'm sure it does. I know Monster is really good.
Oh, Monster slaps. I think they've cut that from the West End though.
I've
They,
listened to it like twice.
yeah, I like it. I think some of it's actually very good. Yeah, so the issue is, yeah, so they do in summer before they do in summer, they spend a lot more time at the coronation, and then they kind of pad it with stuff like, what do you know about love?
Yeah.
But you are almost sat there being like, when's Let It Go happening? And it's almost like a
Yeah.
weird payoff. And I'm glad that Beauty and the Beast kind of took that. Like, we're not married to the original formatting of the source material.
I think that's the thing. Beauty and the Beast is really good because it was like the first musical to kind of do that,
Yeah.
where it was directly adapting something that was already a musical. And so
Yeah.
it got a lot of freedom to do what it wanted. It both stuck to what was the original layout of the score, and then also got to do its own thing, adding songs, moving them around, all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And then unfortunately, I don't know if unfortunately is the right word, but that kind of formula has just stuck.
Yes.
I'm going to sound like I've moved on from Phantom apparently, and I'm just bringing up
You
Anastasia
have
all the time now.
actually, like looking at your
I
earbuds,
fucking love Anastasia.
it is just
I still
Anastasia.
love Phantom, and I do still listen to it a lot, but I really love
Do you?
Anastasia right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Christy
I
Altamore, you're
do
gonna get a
listen
message
to it.
from her this year as what if I rapped?
Oh my god, can you imagine?
That would actually be really sick.
Anastasia the movie, as we said in the episode, has very, very, very few songs.
Yes.
There's a few songs here and there.
Mm.
Anastasia the musical, as we said, has a line and then another song.
Yeah.
And all of the songs are good.
Mm.
We love all of the songs,
Yeah.
but it is a lot.
Yes, yes,
And the
yes.
question is how many of them are needed? Because
Yeah.
there's become this kind of idea of you have to add songs when adapting a movie musical to a stage.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll go on to talk about it in more depth because there's some interesting things to talk about alongside it. But Disney did they did actually add a song further on in the line called A Change in called A Change in Me? I think it is. That's where I'm getting A Change in Me from. Yeah.
And you get the same thing in, like we said, Frozen, in what else is it? Aladdin.
Aladdin,
Is
yeah.
Hunchback a stage musical?
Hunchback
Yes.
is a stage musical, but it
Hunchback
never went
is a
to
stage.
Broadway because it was too weird, which I approve.
But you'll see they have added songs to all of them, and that's not a bad thing. It's good. I love the songs. All of the songs are good.
I think almost
It's just I think it's weird how Beauty and the Beast was the blueprint of that, and it's just stuck. When in a lot of them, I don't feel like it's needed.
yeah. I mean, Frozen is probably the most contemporary example, but I saw it once in 2018 on Broadway, and then I saw it again in 2022 in London, and they are very different shows. They have changed them, they've gutted them, and they have removed ballads. So I think originally when I saw it the first time, there was a song called True Love, which was all talking about like how like Anna believed in this notion of true love, which is it's a very good song. And like songs like Dangerous to Dream as well had been cut because they just got to the point where we're like, we don't need all these songs. The audience know the
I feel like
songs.
another big one is I think Lion King,
Yeah, The Lion King is revolutionary.
because there are like 5 songs in the Lion King movie. And I think it's like if I told you think of a song from the Lion King musical, you'd be like, oh, Hakuna Matata, I just can't wait to be king.
Circle of Life.
Circle of Life.
I mean, Circle
Those
of
are
Life
all
is
just the
iconic.
movie songs.
Yeah.
But like if I told you to think of a song that is just in the musical, I don't think you
I
could
would
name one.
really
I'm
struggle.
looking at them, I could not name any of these.
Whereas I think the thing with like Beauty and the Beast is people know Home.
Yeah.
People know these songs have been added. People know If I Can't Love Her. Like, and I also think that breaking the form and almost doing something quite interesting is what Disney almost did with Newsies. They changed that completely.
Yeah.
And it became a very good musical. Whereas I think, and I think Beauty and the Beast obviously had to tread the line quite carefully because, as I said, like everything had to be signed off by Michael Eisner. They cut True Love. Something else. Yeah, they cut True Love, which is the big, big moment for Anna in Act Two. Which I missed it when I saw it, but I'm not a small child and can sit through a like 2.5 hour musical.
Yeah.
Which is
I
also
think the
important.
point I'm
They
trying to
can't
make
do
though
when they want.
isn't like the point I'm trying to make isn't like oh they should stop adding songs and they should just adapt the movie straight onto the stage.
No.
I'm just saying it's weird that this thing they basically randomly decided to do with Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Just to bulk up some of the plot. Because you don't get a song like Home in the movie, so there's not really a point for Belle. I don't remember what the song is called. When she's like, I want adventure in the great
That's Belle
somewhere.
Reprise. So they set her up, they give her the I Want song in the movie, and then they never really expand on that.
Added as there were, and I feel like none of them stick the way the ones in Beauty and the Beast do.
Yeah, and that is really interesting. Because I mean, I couldn't name you an added song from Aladdin. I could from Frozen because I've seen it. Lion King, even Little Mermaid, or I'm not going to count Mary Poppins because I've done it.
I feel like
Pun?
you
Sorry?
the songs. All of the Disney musicals, I feel like if I played you a song, you'd be able to be like, oh yeah, that was added in the movie, or that was in the original, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think maybe over time they've got a little bit more protective of the brand and of the original movies. Because I mean,
Yeah.
if you're doing it for the first time, you don't really know to the full extent what the risks are, and so they were just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna put this
I
on
hate
stage.
to say it though.
Mm.
I hate the live action.
Oh yeah, I hate it so much. I went to the cinema and saw it. Longest movie of my life, actually.
My sister made me listen to it, and it is insane how auto-tuned it is.
It takes away from it, and you've got people like Audra McDonald in there. She does sing a song, but like it's like what?
Evans.
It just sounds.
Josh Groban did a song.
Yeah, he did like Everlasting, I swear.
He did Evermore. Ariana Grande did a song, and so did Celine Dion.
Ariana will show up anywhere and everywhere. Have you ever
The
seen?
one I actually the one thing I really hate about the movie, the
Okay,
live
yeah.
action movie,
Yeah, the live action movie. So.
and this is again just because I played a City Girl,
Mhm.
is that they took out the City Girl's parts in Belle Reprise, so it doesn't make sense anymore.
No, they just have her like run up to a mountain and be like, I want to venture in the great white somewhere.
It doesn't work because the line in the original is the City Girl saying, Madame Gaston, can't you just
Yes.
see it?
And
Madame
it's
Gaston, his little wife. No, sir, not
not
her.
me.
I guarantee it. She
Yes.
wants much more than this for people. And then when they sing it in the live action, and Emma Watson in her Emma Watson's a lovely lady, I'm sure. In her stupid little auto-tune voice.
Mm.
She's Madame Gaston, can't you just see it? Madame Gaston, his little wife. No, sir, not me.
Because
It doesn't make sense.
It's really interesting because they did actually add to the Funny Girls in like the 2021 version, which was in the UK. They added to the Funny Girls, but like everywhere else, they were just like, no, not gonna do that. Not gonna do that.
Crazy.
That movie is weird and horrific, and I've seen it once, never again.
It's insane.
I saw it in the cinemas, and it was like a
Yeah.
mashup between the original and the musical, which makes sense, but it just didn't work. And the CGI was off.
Yeah.
And poor Emma Watson was having to like act with golf balls, basically. And so she wasn't obviously doing her best acting.
Yeah. I think also I like historical fashion, so I will say her refusal to wear a corset was stupid.
She refused to wear a
It's not an
corset.
attack on your feminism. Yeah. So the dress looks really bad.
I count
Because
myself.
it's not like wearing a corset is not you have to look thin and pretty and have a perfect hourglass. That's never what it's for. It was so the dress has support, otherwise it will ruin your back. So they couldn't make the dress big enough and heavy enough as it should be.
Mm.
Because she couldn't wear this. She refused to wear the support needed.
That's
Pisses me off.
that's insane. I mean, I'm a feminist. I would love to wear a corset and a big poofy dress.
It's like the Cinderella live action. The dress is really good.
You're sounding a lot like
it's
Toby.
better. I'm actually sounding like my sister, who talks about this all the time.
Toby also talks about this all the time. This is a part of his rampage against it. And he's also like, everyone's like, oh, so mean to Ariel, but never mean to Belle. And I'm like, dude, you got personal beef with the Disney princesses.
God.
JK, love you, Toads.
I'm trying to find a picture to show you.
No, I know exactly
just
what
about
you
how
mean.
ridiculous the dress looks compared to the Cinderella one. But it really annoys me because like most of the other costuming is really good.
I don't know that she refused to wear it. I just thought it was a bad dress.
No, she refused to wear a corset.
That's silly.
I'm gonna find the article. I remember this being a big thing.
It sounds like something that would be a big thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember her talking about how she was going to make Belle feminist. I don't know how I feel about this advertent need to scream about feminism when making Disney princess films. And I'm not blaming that.
I don't like.
actresses for this.
Sorry, I'm reading what she said.
No one go annoy Rachel Zegler, leave the poor woman alone. She was told to say that, but in cases like this, I'm a bit like,
I don't know if she said this, but it's what is said in relation to her playing Belle in the live action. It was in the past, she, Belle, was solely an object of desire, and let's be honest, true to Disney princess form, pretty helpless and dependent on males in the film.
okay.
Watson was determined to play a princess who had more agency and would be able to take action, and of course it just didn't fit in with that storyline. Yes, it does. Watson worked closely with the film's creators and costume designer Jacqueline Duran to create a new look and personality for Belle. She'll star as a skilled inventor whose interests include horseback riding.
Belle reads.
Yeah. Like, I think it's fun to do a more modern take on a princess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against like Belle having more hobbies. That's always fun.
Yeah. And I think, like, I want to make it clear, I'm not dissing what she was saying about, like, the corset being used to create a more appealing shape. Because in press for the movie, she was photoshopped to have a more hourglass shape.
She was
which
also
is partly why she refused to wear the corset.
Yeah, she also did wear a corset eventually in a film because I know for a fact she wore one in Little Women.
It's such a stupid thing to be picky about, but the dress just doesn't look good because it's too light.
Google it.
Like when you compare it to the Cinderella live action dress, you can see
I
how
love
many
that
like
dress.
petticoats and like underlayers she's wearing
Yeah.
because she has a corset to support the weight.
Yeah.
Anyways.
One thing like I'd like to say about like the whole Belle characterization is I like the quote from Susan Egan, who originated her on Broadway, and she was like, "Yeah, Belle's kind of weird. She's kind of kooky. She's kind of funny," which is a very which is a lot more like of a favorable. Oh my God, I've just seen the dress again for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Complaining because it was in like 2017 and I've moved on. But
you sound like Toby.
It's the same thing I have a problem, and I hate to bring up. It's the same thing I have a problem with like Anne Juliet. There's this obsession with making female characters more feminist in a modern sense, and I don't hate that. Like it's a very good idea. There's a lot of female characters that are very weak, and Disney is one of the worst like origins of that.
Yeah.
You have a ton of Disney princesses who cannot do anything for themselves and rely on a man to save themselves.
Yeah.
But there's this obsession with doing that with every single female character who has ever existed.
Yes. And I don't know, I've been kind of thinking about this in relation to The Great Gatsby. Shocker. And everyone was like, "Oh, which one's gonna have the more feminist Daisy?" I was like, "Fucking Daisy Buchanan doesn't give a shit about feminism."
Yeah.
Like she is modeled after Zelda Fitzgerald. Zelda Fitzgerald can be read as a feminist, but she was also a rich socialite who wanted to do what the fuck she wanted. You know?
I think it's the thing of modern feminism is very different from even the feminism in 1991. And that's not to say that Belle is a feminist character. It's like that article was saying, she is kind of relying on men to save her to an extent. And she doesn't really, at the end, she like lets the Beast and Gaston fight and she doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, that's not great. But I don't know. I don't know if I like
you
this.
You can critique them and say they're not feminist in this way, but that doesn't mean you have to rewrite their entire. It just annoys me because I also like history.
I don't like, I mean, you were right to almost compare this feminism or this interpretation of the character to Anne Juliet in some ways, because it is very like Anne Juliet feminism, where it's like, oh, a woman's story, an old woman's story cannot be feminist enough on its own. We need to interpret it in some way, where it's like, there can be feminist interpretations and readings of it. If I really sat here and picked apart the story about, I'm sure I can find some quite feminist points.
There is a whole subculture of literary critics who just read Shakespeare's works and do feminist interpretations. Trust me, I have read them. I studied Hamlet for like 2 years. I read about 50 feminist critiques of Hamilton. Hamlet. I've also read feminist critiques of Hamilton.
Okay, you know what? Let's girl bossify Eliza Schuyler.
I don't know. I didn't think I'd be talking about feminism and my dislike of it apparently in the Beauty and the Beast episode, but here we are.
I did because Toby always screams about this. I'm like, you're okay, Toads. I no, and also it's like there can be feminist interpretations of things, but that doesn't mean we need to completely rewrite and discard the source material in ways.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think something like Encanto is a lot more up to date about feminism, can be a lot more feminist than something overtly feminist, you know?
Yeah.
Something old that's
Like
intentionally
obviously
feminist.
Frozen's really good because it also has a romance in it, but neither of the female characters are reliant on a man.
No, they've got agents. I think Belle does have agency at some points.
I think more so in the musical than in the movie. I
Yeah.
agree with that kind of sentiment.
Yeah. Anyway, the 2017 movie did it wrong, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Do we want to move on? So the Tony Awards, it would be nominated for Best Actor for Terrence Mann, Best Actress for Susan Egan, Best Featured Actress for Gary Beach, Best Book for Linda Wolverton, Best Costume Designer for Anne Hold Ward, Best Director for Robert Jess Roth, Best Lighting Designer, Best Musical, and Best Score. It would only win Best Costumes. But that's a lot of Tony Awards for a show that the critics were not fans of. It's almost like they were doing something now. They were doing something kind of revolutionary, not in a necessarily good way all the time. Fun fact, that same Tony year, someone won a Tony for playing Sheila in an Inspector Calls.
Oh my God.
Banger of a role. After 5
How many did
years,
it win? I don't
huh?
know if you said how many it won.
It only won one. It
How
only
many did it
won.
win?
Only for costume.
That's fair. I'm looking at who it's up against. Shockingly,
Mm.
he was kind of deserved. It was Passion by Sondheim that kind of swept.
I can get 100%. It's not even one of Sondheim's best works, but I can get 100% why they were like, we're gonna give it to the Sondheim over Disney.
Audra McDonald also won featured actress.
Love you, Audra
A
McDonald.
Carousel.
Love you, Audra McDonald.
That's deserved.
Carousel's weird. The more and
There's
more
also
I
a
learn about it.
play that was called Angels in America, Perestroika.
Anywho,
Yeah.
after 5 years, it would move theatres from the Palace to La Fontaine, with it being smaller, with it having 265 fewer seats than the Palace. It would cut like 7 members of the cast as well during its run, which isn't great. But I guess they're still creating stable employment. I don't know. It's weird whenever shows move theatres and it doesn't really happen very often. But I'm starting to think maybe it should happen more. Maybe some shows could last longer. So the it would obviously start stunt casting like all big shows do. And its first and probably only big stunt cast was R&B singer Toni Braxton, with there being back and forth negotiations in July or in 1998, with Roth, the director, saying, based on her songs, everyone thought Toni was this huge sex pot, sorry. But that was just a role she was playing in order to further her recording career. The real Toni was actually brainy, down-to-earth woman who, let's be honest, seemed a lot like Belle. She was kind of a nerd. So there was back and forth about how this would happen and all this other stuff. And then they all go out for dinner. Rice and some other people on the creative team. Rice kind of says that he'll write a song for her in the show. The director has to call up Disney and be like, so Tim Rice is writing a song because he promised one to Toni Braxton.
What song was it?
A Change in Me.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to know what Rice's response to getting a frantic call being like, did you promise a song being added to this show? Classic Rice. He said, oh crap.
What?
I think I did say something like that after the second bottle of wine.
Oh my God.
So she would be the first Black woman to play Belle or any Disney princess for that matter. Whilst I was researching this, I found a very interesting academic article talking about the song, the inclusion of the song, the race and capitalism of Disney and the way that they impacted Broadway and Toni Braxton, like, and how she fits into that. It's by a guy named Jason King. It is very interesting. It is like 28 pages long, and you're like, how the hell does someone manage to write 28 pages about this? Truly fascinating. I'm gonna include it in the links. But yeah, just classic Rice antics in the end, being a little minx and a menace. Anyway, so there had been many tours, with the first one being in 1995, 1 year after it. If you look at like a timeline of all the notable productions, it basically opened on Broadway and then started popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
So Disney know how to market a show again because they have such like a big enterprise behind them. So the West End, it would open at the Dominion on the 14th of May 1997, with it costing £10 million to produce, making it the most expensive musical ever mounted in London. The finances of like West End shows aren't as transparent as they are on Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know how much money Les Mis is making in a week, actually. Because I don't think £1 million weeks are happening over here as often. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm just so used to like Broadway economics.
Yeah.
Really do need to see the West End ones.
But we don't publish grosses here. They are not reported. At the 1988 Olivier Awards, it would win this is the full title of the award. It is reported basically everywhere as being the American Express Award for New Musical Theatre. With it beating out Enter the Guardsman, The Fix, and The Lady in the Dark. So yeah, there would be a West End revival in 2022 and a UK tour alongside it. It would be a reimagined version of the show with it playing the Palladium between the 24th of June and the 17th of September. Do you know who starred in this as Belle?
Who?
Courtney Stapleton, who was Meg. Great actress.
I actually know that I have.
Other international versions, the show has literally been done everywhere in the world that has a theatre. If it has any kind of professional theatre, Beauty and the Beast's probably been done there. With it even like I saw a photo of it having a production in Russia. It has been done everywhere in the world. School versions, it has been sitting at around number 5 on the list of the most done shows for very consistently for like the last 5 years. So yeah, with it being a massive hit, you would think maybe there should be a revival on Broadway. Well,
Maybe.
in 2019, the president of the Disney Theatricals, Thomas Schumacher, said, I'm deep in it, so yeah, it's happening in response to questions about a revival of Beauty and the Beast. There would be obviously there was a pandemic between there, so everything kind of went a bit quiet, but there was still like belief that there would be a Beauty and the Beast revival happening probably at some time, with there being no official words. And then like people believe that the 2022 West End production was maybe in preparation for Broadway because they made significant changes to it. Like they made kind of big changes to it for Disney. So it kind of makes sense them to try it out like that. And then there's also the rumor that it's going to reopen the Palace Theatre, which it's just a commonly held belief, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think anything's been confirmed.
No, nothing's been confirmed, but if you ask most people, like, oh, what do you think is going to reopen the Palace? A lot of people will say maybe if I were to bet, it'd be Beauty and the Beast.
I'm not against that.
I like the idea of that, with the most official confirmation coming about 2 to 3 months ago, with MIT, the company that licensed all shows, had to say all performances of Disney's Beauty and the Beast in North America must be produced by the 31st of December 2024. All requests for performances taking place after that date will be denied, which basically means a big revival of some sort is coming soon.
Yeah.
That kind of corroborates the theory, but they've been talking about putting this show back on Broadway for so long, even before anything official happened. So it would be like,
Yeah.
kind of like the Wicked movie in that way.
That'll be crazy if it does happen.
When it finally happens, I'll be like, it's still not happening.
It won't be real until they finish the first performance.
Yeah, until that curtain goes down, I'm like, that's not fucking happening.
Like, it's actually not happening.
It's like with me in the Wicked movie where I'm like, it's not happening until both movies are out.
It's not happening until I've seen both parts.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I have this horrible feeling that they might just never release part 2.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Beauty and the Beast, obviously very influential musical. It kind of brought children back to Broadway. Like young people were back because of Rent, and then children were back because of Disney. And I mean, there is
And then they all grew up and became the most insufferable musical theatre adults, like us.
Yeah, but like Disney wasn't really our bag in some ways. Do you want to share what we're doing next week? I'm gonna let you do it because it's your week.
One of my favorite musicals ever that I discovered last year.
Literally like 7 months ago.
Yeah, because Esme forced me to go see it with her.
Aren't you glad?
We're doing Groundhog Day.
It's gonna be Groundhog Day next week, which
Yeah.
I've never done any.
Yeah, I've never cared for Groundhog
Never cared for Groundhog Day until this is an excuse to
We're
talk
not
about
even
it.
releasing it on Groundhog Day because it doesn't fall on a Monday.
Yeah, no, we're not
We're
releasing
releasing it on the 5th.
Well, yeah,
We
we'll
should
release.
record on the 2nd.
Is that Groundhog Day?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I'll double check. But I'm pretty sure it is.
February, yeah, it's February 2nd. So is that how you want to celebrate Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
This holy holiday to you now.
My God, they've started putting out all the articles about it.
What, the fact that Groundhog Day is coming out?
Yeah.
Because it's a real thing. Well, we'll find out on Friday whether or not it's 6 more weeks of winter.
February 2nd, 2024.
I have a feeling that the answer is going to be yes.
No, I'm calling it right now. I think it's going to be an early spring.
You think?
We deserve it.
Okay, so is it, because what is it, like, when does it, Phil sees his shadow?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's 6 more weeks
It's
of
6
winter.
more weeks, yeah.
If he doesn't, it's an early spring.
Does he ever not see his shadow?
Yeah. There has been 1 year where the event was cancelled due to World War II.
No! The troops need the morale.
He only has a 28% success rate.
Oh, wow. And what's seeing his shadow?
No predicting whether it's an early spring or not.
Oh, wow, that's actually a lot higher than I thought it was going to be. We get to talk about some of our favourite things. Groundhog Day, the 2017 Tony Awards, and Tim Minchin.
Okay, so here's the thing. 2019, he did not see his shadow.
I do actually feel like it was an early spring.
2021, you had to wear a mask, but he saw his shadow. 2022, saw his shadow. 2023, saw his shadow. We're long overdue an early spring.
Yeah, we get to talk, but for the last time, we get to talk about the 2017 Best Musical race.
I know. One day we'll start doing plays and then we'll get to go back.
Or we do my pitch of we get really drunk and watch it. Turn it into a drinking game. Because I want to watch that broadcast.
I'm going to read you a sentence from this Wikipedia page about Groundhog Day.
Okay.
The groundhog was not named Phil until 1961.
Okay.
Possibly as an indirect reference to Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh.
I don't like that.
Phil the groundhog is Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh.
That's so silly. Would you ever go to Punxsutawney for Groundhog Day?
Yes.
Anyway, join us next week for that.
I'm placing my bet that it's going to be an early spring by the time the episode's out.
Okay. Right. Well,
we should record it and watch the live stream at the same time. We'll start it. It takes us what, 3 hours to record? We'll start it 3 hours before, and then right as we start to end, we'll see if it's an early spring or not, and then we can end it.
I love that. Anyway, bye.